Ah yes, another beautiful day. I can't wait to get on my computer and continue doing my favorite thing in the world, playing Minecraft. Let's see, what do I have to do today? Redis system? Maybe I'll just skip this for today. I think I should just go outside. Maybe I'll be able to find some inspiration there. Man, it really is a beautiful day, isn't it? Hold up, is that a sign? What does it say? Subscribe? That's right, if you'd like to support me and this series, go ahead and subscribe so you never miss future videos. And on your way down there, like the video because it really does help out. Okay, so, as I promised in the last episode, which you should totally go and watch if you haven't yet by the way, in this episode I'll be making some pretty cool systems. First one being Redis. Now, if you have no clue what I just said, you're not alone because neither do I. So let's learn together. Okay, so what's Redis? Redis is basically a program that takes data we give it, stores it, and lets me read that data, but like really quickly. That's fine and all, but I don't need another program running on my computer just so that I could run it on the map for hours. If only there was a solution. Okay, so I'll need a VPS. In case you don't know what a VPS is, it's basically a computer but like far away. I've actually never set up a VPS before, so I have no clue what I'm doing. Okay, so I just bought a VPS and finished setting it up. It actually didn't go half as bad as I expected. I also finished up Redis, which might come as a surprise seeing as I didn't really show you guys any of it. And there's a good reason for that. Basically, setting up Redis is kinda boring, but it was still as painful as I expected it to be. Although I actually quite enjoyed the process, as it taught me how to do databases, as I've actually never worked with them. But that's boring, and I've spent 4 days coding, but the server hasn't changed a bit. So let's get into the interesting stuff. Finishing Redis makes it possible for us to add so many things. I decided I'll start off by making NPCs. Now, I've never made NPCs either, but I have a good idea of how they work. So let's get started. So I've made a simple NPC right here. There's one small issue though, it has no name. Now, this is both good and bad. It's bad because, well, there's no name. But it's good because we can't use the NPC's name tag to display its name. Instead, we have to create a hologram above the NPC that will display its name tag. So making holograms is actually pretty easy as it uses the same systems that NPCs do. So all I do is create holograms for each NPC's name when they are initialized. And as you can see, the holograms work and they show up as the NPC's names. If you thought that that's the end of NPCs though, you'd be wrong. The NPCs have no way to move. So we have to create a bunch of animations like moving, rotating and such. I won't bore you guys with NPCs anymore as I've already redone this part of the video like 3 times, so I'll just show you the result. Here you can see that the NPC looks at us when we move. The NPC can also hit, walk and jump, but those will come into play later on. Additionally, I can detect when the player interacts with an NPC, so with those done, I can basically mark the NPC system as completed. In the last episode, I mentioned the quest about climbing up the cliffs. Now, I don't have the quest system set up quite yet, although I can make the necessary builds. This requires Clientside Builds. This is a system that I've already made before though, and I'm pretty proud of it, so there's no need to recode it. All I need to do is run this command and start building. Then I can save it and boom, there's a Clientside build. As you can see, in this side-by-side comparison, I can see the build on one account but not the other. Oh man, all this building sure makes me want to do more building, am I right? Building montage time. Okay, the build isn't the prettiest, but it'll look better with time, trust me. I'm planning to make these wooden sides into small houses which might be a part of a future quest. As for the cliff quest, we actually need one more thing before we can start making it. Dialogue. Somewhat unsurprisingly, a system for dialogues also exists. Also unsurprisingly, it's mine now. So with NPCs, client-side builds, and dialogues done, we can start setting up quests. Now, when you think of making quests, there's a boatload of ways you can do it. I'm going to be using a custom system I made though. Here's an example of that. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff. Let's narrow it down to this little patch right here. With my system, I can make basically whatever I'd like. In this part of a quest, we wait until a player interacts with an NPC. Then, we start a dialogue. After the player finishes the dialogue, we wait 20 ticks, remove a client-side build, set a new objective, and save the progress. Saving the progress is important because that's where the player will be reset if they rejoin the server. So when it comes to quests, every quest needs to have a purpose. The first few quests need to introduce the player to the mechanics of the game. Fortunately for me though, the Cliffs quest isn't one of those, as the player will need to progress quite a bit before being able to access the rest of the starting area. I decided that this quest is going to be an adventurous one, as it just seemed like it would fit well. Okay, so I might divide a little. We actually need one more system for the Cliffs quest, the Entity Spawning System, or for short, ESS. ESS is basically an in-game spawning system for entities. That means that we can easily add spawning points and customize them however we want. They work on a chunk-based system. That means that entities are only spawned when the player is nearby. The problem I had while making ESS in the old project, Slower Cave, was that entities would follow the player far away from their spawning point, which meant that A, the player would be followed by dozens of mobs, B, the actual spawning points would be completely empty, and C, the mobs would wander away really far. Luckily, while I was making the entity system in episode 1, I thought of this. And so, entities actually have a custom tag I made, max range. Max range is basically the range that the mobs will wander away before they return to their original spawn point. Okay, so here you can see how ESS works. I can go into editing mode and then place down these spawn points. These spawn points were basically the same as mob spawners. I can place them, break them, and change their settings to the different mob spawn as well as changing the radius, max spawn and such. These spawner blocks are only visible in the editing mode, so they're invisible to the normal player. Okay, so time to make the Cliffs quest. I'll try not to spoil the quest fully, as that would just ruin it. If you want not to have the quest spoil at all, skip to this timestamp. So after unlocking the quest, you must figure out a way to get to the botanist, an NPC that wasn't accessible before you started the quest. He will tell you that he has been working on a special kind of growing substance that might help you get up the cliffs by growing long vines. He will also ask you for a special flower, which you can get from an NPC. Only problem is, when you go there, the NPC is gone. You must then figure out a way to find the NPC and get the flower. Returning to the botanist with the flower follows a twist, which I won't actually show you guys as to not spoil it. So after doing God knows what, you obtain the substance and can now climb the cliffs. So that will be the Cliffs quest. Now, I just want to recap on some of the minor things I did that didn't end up in the video until now. Ranks. Ranks can now be obtained in the display and tab chat and the player's username. Ground items. This is a system I made which is just an easy way for me to make these cool items that look like they're on the ground. I can also detect when a player interacts with them, which is very useful in quests. This doesn't really change the gameplay a lot, but it's just a cool thing I made and I wanted to show you guys. So that will be it for this episode. If you guys would like to receive updates about new videos, join the Discord down in the description. Thanks for watching and have a great day.